Mariah and her husband Ethan move into the long-abandoned Mercer House on Hollow Ridge, a decaying Victorian estate with crooked windows and ivy strangling its walls. The house had been empty for decades, shunned by the townspeople who whispered of curses, disappearances, and voices that called out in the night. To Mariah, it was an affordable fixer-upper, a quiet place to start over after years of city noise. To Ethan, it was a project, a challenge to restore something that time had forgotten. But on their first night, when the wind died and the old floors stopped creaking, Mariah heard it. A voice, soft and deliberate, brushing against her ear as if it spoke from the walls themselves. "Mariah, come see." She froze, the blood draining from her face. Ethan, half asleep, told her it was nothing but the wind or old pipes groaning. Yet, as the days passed, the whisper returned, always at the same hour, growing clearer each time. It didn't sound like a hallucination. It sounded human, intimate, knowing her name, her thoughts, her fear. One sleepless night, unable to ignore it any longer, Mariah followed the voice. She climbed the narrow staircase to the attic, her flashlight beam cutting through the thick dust swirling like smoke. The air was colder up there, heavy and damp, as though the house were holding its breath. At the far end of the attic, she noticed a small wooden door she hadn't seen before, short, almost child-sized, its rusted handle fused with age. As she reached for it, the whisper grew clearer, desperate. "It's so cold here. Please, let me out." Her fingers brushed the handle, and she felt something move behind the door, something that made the boards shift under her feet. Then, a thin shadow leaked out from beneath the crack, sliding toward her toes like liquid smoke. Mariah screamed and stumbled back, fleeing down the stairs, her flashlight tumbling into the dark. The next morning, Ethan found her pale and trembling in the kitchen. Concerned but skeptical, he insisted on checking the attic himself. Together, they pried open the little door, revealing a shallow crawl space. Inside, they found an old porcelain doll with glassy eyes clouded by dust and an aged leather-bound diary. The first entry, dated October 17, 1925, belonged to a young girl named Eleanor Mercer, the daughter of the home's original owners. Her early entries were innocent enough, stories about the house, the gardens, and her loneliness. But soon they grew strange. "Mother says I mustn't talk to the man in the walls," one entry read. "But he's kind. He whispers to me when I can't sleep." Another, shakier line said, "He says he can show me the world beyond." The final page was smeared with something dark, the writing erratic. "He's not whispering anymore. He's inside." Ethan dismissed it as nonsense, claiming it was just a story made by a disturbed child. He tossed the diary into the fireplace, saying they needed to stop indulging old superstitions. But as the paper curled and blackened, the fire dimmed and shifted to an unnatural shade of blue. The air grew colder, the walls groaning as though the house itself were waking. Then, from behind Mariah came a voice, the same whisper, sharper now, angry. "Why did you burn my voice?" She spun around, but no one was there. From the kitchen, she heard Ethan calling her name. When she found him, he was standing by the window, unmoving, staring into the yard as rain began to fall. "Ethan," she whispered. Slowly, he turned, his eyes unfocused. "He's here," he said softly. "He said I could see too." His jaw began to tremble, then stretch unnaturally wide, the bones creaking as his mouth opened into an impossible grin. From within came a chorus of whispers, hundreds of voices, men, women, children, all overlapping, chanting, "Come see, come see." Mariah screamed and ran into the storm, barefoot, lightning splitting the sky behind her. When she was found the next morning by a passing driver, she was drenched, shaking, and mumbling only two words, "Don't listen." Ethan was never found. When police investigated, they discovered the attic door nailed shut from the inside, and the small crawl space completely empty. No doll, no diary, nothing but a faint scent of smoke and something that smelled like rot. Afterward, the house sat silent once more, its windows watching the road like tired eyes. Years later, the Mercer house went up for sale again. The new owners, a young couple, bright and eager, moved in one October evening. That night, as the wind stilled and the house grew quiet, the neighbors claimed they heard laughter echoing faintly from the attic, followed by a whisper that drifted through the trees. It was soft, familiar, and patient, the same voice that had waited through generations. "Mariah," it breathed. Then, after a long pause, the whisper changed. "Come see."